You're lying in bed. She's on her phone. You say something. She laughs. And for a second you think, okay, we're still in this. Then she puts the phone down and goes to sleep. No touch, no glance back, not even unconsciously. Just done with the day. And you stare at the ceiling and run the math in your head. The vacation you booked, the kitchen you renovated, the promotion you told her about last month. All of it still sitting there in the account ledger of your marriage, adding up to nothing. You didn't fail. That's the thing that no one tells you, and the thing that makes this so much harder to fix. She didn't stay because you failed. She stayed because you were safe. And safe is not the same thing as chosen. The stability and desire are not the same circuit. She can feel grateful for you and not want you at the same time, in the same bed. And the reason nobody told you this, the reason your father never sat you down and named it, is because the entire script you were handed said the opposite. Be reliable. Be the man she can count on. Be a provider. Marry her. You followed every instruction, and here you are. So here's the question I want you to hold for the rest of this video, because I will come back to it. If you took away the house, the history, the kids, would she still choose you today? Sit with that. Your false solution is achievement. You decided, consciously or not, that the path back to her desire runs through your calendar. One more promotion, one bigger renovation, book the vacation she mentioned 6 months ago, show her you're still trying. And when she smiles and says thank you, you interpret that as progress. You tell yourself, see, she still appreciates me. But appreciation is not desire. Gratitude is not attraction. The man who fixes the leak in the bathroom does not become sexually compelling because he fixed it faster. You have been optimizing the provider variable your entire marriage. And the provider variable has nothing to do with the circuit you are actually trying to repair. You want her to want you again, and you keep trying to earn it. Those are not the same motion. The reason you keep running this strategy, listen closely, is because the alternative is terrifying. The alternative is admitting that she is not cold because you have not done enough. She is cold because you became predictable. And predictable is the biological opposite of desire. You're probably sitting there thinking, I can't just be unpredictable. I have a family. I have responsibilities. Yeah, I know. And that is exactly why this pattern is so dangerous. Because you are using your responsibilities as a reason to never change anything. You have turned your commitments into a shield against the discomfort of being a different man. And she can feel the difference. She can feel the difference between a man who is grounded by nature and a man who is hiding behind his schedule. Literally just last month, I was talking to a guy, early 30s, solid career, 2 kids, married 6 years. His wife had been distant for about 2 years. He'd just gotten a raise, his biggest yet. He said, at least she'll feel more secure. I asked him one question. When's the last time she looked at you like she would have missed you if you'd left? He went quiet for a long time. Then he said, probably year 2. Here's the second thing I need you to hold on to, because I'll come back to this as well. What if the more you provide without presence, the more invisible you actually become? What if the life you've been building is the exact thing that makes you easier to take for granted? Now, if he was never going to choose you, she was going to settle for you. Those are not the same thing. This is personal, not clinical. Stop for a second. You know the moment I'm talking about. You walk into the kitchen. She's standing there. And there's a half second. Before the logistics start, before someone says, "Did you call the school?" or "The car needs an oil change," there's a half second where she could have looked at you like you were the man she wanted. She didn't, and you noticed. And then you both moved on. That moment happens every day, and every day it passes without either of you saying anything about it. Because naming it means dealing with it. And dealing with it means you might find out the answer is worse than you thought. That is the cope. That is the silence that turns into a decade. I want you to look at your last month, not at what you accomplished, at how often you walked into a room and your wife's face changed. Not because of what you were carrying, but because of who you were when you walked in. If you're being honest, how often was that? How often did you take up space in a room rather than just fill a function in a household? I watched a man do this for 4 years. Smart, disciplined, thought that if he kept building the life right, she would come back around. She was always just about to come back around. He doubled his income in 3 years, built a business, renovated the house. She showed up to his birthday, smiled in all the photos, and filed for divorce 2 months later. The man she started dating after wasn't more successful than him, wasn't more financially stable, wasn't better on paper in any category you could measure. He was just present. He had an edge she couldn't predict. He took up space in a way that her husband had stopped doing years earlier. That is the root cause. Not money, presence. The circuit you have been ignoring is not the security circuit. It is the tension circuit. And here is where both questions come back to finish the loop. Remember the first question. If you removed the house, the history, the shared calendar, would she still choose you today? And the second, what if the more you provide without presence, the more invisible you become? They are the same question. They are pointing at the same place. You've been providing without polarizing, showing up without showing up. There is still a version of you that has opinions she cannot predict, that leads things, that occasionally says no to something she expected you to say yes to. Not because you are manufacturing some strategy, because that man is who you actually were, before you decided that being a great provider was the same thing as being a great man. Stability was supposed to be the container, not the whole thing. The container is the house. The thing she was supposed to want was the man inside it. And somewhere between the mortgage and the night feeds, the man went quiet. I want you to do something right now. Picture yourself in 3 years. Nothing has changed. You are still funding the same life, still running the same strategy, still interpreting her gratitude as progress. Somewhere in that house is a woman who has stopped expecting anything different from you. Not angry, just done. That is not a punishment. That is a trajectory. You are already on it. Now flip it. A man who notices the gap and decides to be honest about it. Not perfectly, not overnight, but honestly. Here is what I need you to do. And I am not talking about a plan. I am not giving you 5 steps. Tonight, when this video is done, look in the mirror. One question. Does she still look at you like she chose you? Or does she look at you like she settled? You already know the answer. That discomfort you feel when you ask it, that is not despair. That is data. That is the information you have been avoiding because acknowledging it means changing something. And changing something is uncomfortable for the man who has spent years being the one who holds everything together. But brother, That discomfort is the only honest thing in the room right now. Use it. Do not explain it away. You are not broken. You made decisions that made sense at the time with the information you had at the time. But you are watching this for a reason, and you already know what that reason is. I want to be straight with you about something. Reclaiming polarity inside a long-term relationship is not a switch you flip. It does not happen because you watched a video on a Tuesday night. I am not going to sell you the version of this where you make 3 changes and she looks at you like it's year 1 again. That would be a comfortable lie, and you deserve better than a comfortable lie at this point in your life. What I will tell you is this. The problem is not the kids or the stress or that she changed. It is that you stopped being someone who occupied space and started being someone who occupied a role. Roles are replaceable. Men are not.